What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video. We've got the Bristol night race, which, if you're a racing fan, if you're a NASCAR fan, you live for this night. Saturday night race, not a Sunday night. We got or Saturday afternoon, rather. We've got a Saturday night race. Again, sort of the beauty of the Bristol night race where you can stay up late Saturday, don't have to worry about work the next morning. Hopefully, maybe you do work on the weekends, but it's just the absolute best. When I think of, like, I don't know, the four usually like most hectic races, it's Dega, it's the 500, it's the final Daytona race. Usually that's like the regular season cutoff, and then it's the Bristol night race, which is just hectic. All however many laps they run. I think it's 500 laps. Um, it's just epic. It's nonstop action. It's the final race of the first round of the playoffs, and now we've got guys like Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski that are below the playoff cut line. So this is going to be wild, like absolutely wild. Then you've got guys like Chase Briscoe who are hanging on for dear life. Ty Gibbs hanging on for dear life. I think a lot of people had Ty Gibbs like maybe as a guy that could make it to the round of 8. Definitely around a 12, like lock. I feel like a lot of people would have thought with the speed with Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. It is going to be must-watch TV. I'm super excited for it. I'm here to bring you some bets for Saturday night's race. But before we do that, want to shout out the partnership with the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. It is a network that I have a partnership that you should look or search on your podcasts app through Apple or Spotify, and just search NASCAR Betting Preview Show because I think you'll enjoy it. It's got plenty of great motorsports betting content creators like myself, getting you pumped for the weekend that in this case would be Bristol. It's got plenty of podcasts, plenty of content. So hit that follow button on however you consume your podcasts, and you'll be ready for the big race on Saturday. And the live show, the live NASCAR betting preview show, goes live on X Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should be a really good show if we're talking Bristol night. So excited to see what those guys come up with on Wednesday. Again, Wednesday night, X, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, let's get into the betting card. Feel pretty good about this weekend. I've got a lot of different ways to go here. I do want to start with the prop for me, the manufacturing bet. Let me get it up on DraftKings to get the most up-to-date number for you. But I'm looking at Toyota to win this race. They were super strong in the spring when we raced at Bristol. And let's not forget, this first race, when was it? In April, I believe, was the first race. Let's see, March 17th, the first race. The tire was a huge factor. It's going to be again. They did an updated tire test. Who knows if the tire would be as extreme of wear as we saw back in March. I don't think it will be, but honestly, you really don't know. But they did test this tire, I believe, back in July, that they'll be running on Saturday night. But tire was a huge factor, saving tires. There were so many different comers and goers. It was an awesome race from start to finish. And Denny Hamlin ended up winning that by, saving his tires. You had guys like Denny, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, all guys that knew how to manage their stuff, and they found their way to the front at the end, and it was an awesome race. So I just wanted to point that out. But I look at Toyota here, guys, and I think they're plus 110, so they're about even money. But Chevy is plus 200, Ford is plus 230. So in terms of a manufacturer bet, they're pretty much all about the same. Usually you have some discrepancy. You might see like a plus 150 and like a plus 450 oftentimes. We see like Ford sometimes, but plus 110, I do think there's value on betting Toyota as the winning manufacturer. That gives you Denny, the winner in the spring, and just overall great driver at Bristol and short track. Gives you Martin Truex Jr. It gives you Ty Gibbs, who had a really fast car, won, I believe, both stages here in the spring. Let me fact check that. He did. He won stage one and stage two. Maybe if he was able to manage a little bit better, he probably could have won. He had a really fast car. So who knows? Maybe he's an outright you might target. But you get Gibbs, you get Reddick, you get Christopher Bell, add Bubba Wallace to that list. If you bet Toyota, you have a good solid list of drivers here that are going to be fast and going to give you a good shot to win this thing. So I like Toyota as the winning manufacturer. For outrights, let's start with a couple. Like he's plus 400, but Denny Hamlin in a must-win situation, pretty much. I shouldn't say a must-win situation, but he's got to run well. And I think with how bad his first round went, or the first two races went rather, he's going to come out hot. He's going to come out swinging, and he's going to want to win. And I just feel like Hamlin is going to have a dominating car and be up in the top 5 to 3 all night long. So I really like Denny in this spot, backs against the wall. Feel like he's had his ups and downs, but I'm hoping that his downs are behind him and he can just go out and go to a track where he's had success and just have a great day from start to finish. So I like Denny. I also love Martin Truex Jr. in this spot. Similar thing, backs against the wall. Maybe his last chance to really get a win. Plus 1,600, 16 to 1 for Martin Truex Jr. Again, the second place finisher in the spring. It went Denny, it went Martin, it went Brad. Those were the guys. Martin Truex Jr. earned the second most points overall third rather overall with 44 points. So it just shows you had a really good average running position throughout the duration of the race. Martin Truex Jr., 16 to 1, great value there. And then I'm going to go to Brad Keselowski at 11 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Another guy who backs against the wall, knows how to manage his tires. There's going to be the tire is going to play a factor. How much? That's the question that, we'll probably get answered about 50 laps into this thing. But I trust Brad Keselowski, Roush Fenway, even when early on in the next gen era, when they were a new team and they were struggling on the mile and a half, they always had speed at this very track, the short tracks in general. Chris Buescher obviously won this race. What was that? 2 seasons ago now. So both those drivers feel confident. I feel like even maybe a winning team bet for those guys would be probably a good one. I think that's around plus 600 right now. Let me see. Plus 500. So maybe we can wait a little bit. I'd like to see that closer to the 6 to 7 number, but I do think there's some value to get Brad and Chris Buescher. Buescher obviously coming off the Glen win, so he's feeling good, feeling high on himself. So there you go. 3 good solid outrights that I really look at this week that are going to play a factor in this race somehow. And then I'm going to look at Kyle Busch, and he's 20 to 1. Overall, we know how good he has been in his career at Bristol. Has he been the best in the next gen era? No, not really. 20th fastest in the next gen era at Bristol, but chalk some of that up to bad luck. Here's the thing that scares me with Kyle Busch. I feel like at this point in his career and where he's been, or now being with RCR, it seems like when he has a bad race, things like begin to snowball, and he gets like bad race after bad race after bad race, and that's why I feel like that Olympic break was so important, because he had time to just rest, regroup, and we saw how fast that team was and continues to be. But bad race at the Glen from start to finish. Who knows what it could have been. Obviously, you got wrecked early, by LaJoy, but still just bad luck. So that's what scares me with Kyle Busch. But when I look at him at 20 to 1 and plus money for a top 10 at plus 130, that's insane. That is insane to put Kyle Busch at plus money for a top 10 at his best track. The Busch brothers for years dominated this track, and it was led by Kyle Busch. 20 to 1, top 10 plus 130. That is something else to me. So I got to look at it. I'm going to pound the top 10 bet for sure. Um, in the outright, I mean, I just think there's good value on it. But that would be my concern to bet on Kyle Busch. You got to know that he oftentimes, when he has a bad race in at RCR in his time with RCR, it's followed by another bad race and another bad race until he can find like a decent finish. And then it seems like maybe he builds that confidence back. But that's been the trend for Kyle Busch at RCR. A couple more numbers, I guess, just to back Denny Hamlin. He's been the second fastest in the next gen era at Bristol. Martin Truex Jr. eighth, but like I said earlier this year, he was the second fastest car behind Ty Gibbs. Denny was actually third in the Bristol race in the spring. And then the number for Brad Keselowski, he's the fourth fastest in the next gen era at Bristol on the concrete. So just, a couple things to throw down there to just give you some extra numbers to show you that, hey, based on speed, these guys are good. Based on managing their stuff and your tires, these guys are good as well. Some top 10 bets. There's four. Ryan Preece plus 450. If you look at the numbers, 11th fastest in the next gen era at Bristol, 12th fastest in 2023, 12th fastest earlier this season. In March, he earned stage points in both of the stages back in March. He is right around that top 10 driver category, if you will. Like, I guess there's probably a better way to say that, but he's in terms of speed, he's right around anywhere from 8th to 12th. And so there's a ton of value at plus 450 for him in for a top 10. I don't see it on DraftKings yet, but that's Rhode Island Sportsbook. It might be higher. Maybe it's around 5 or 6 to 1 on DraftKings, but that's what I see it at Rhode Island Sportsbook. Justin Haley, plus 900, excuse me, for a top 10. Another guy who is very good at these short tracks, very good at managing his stuff. Finished 17th here in March, but from a like a value perspective, he's right around the 15th fastest overall at Bristol in the next gen era, and that's with Cowling Racing and Wick Rare Racing. And one thing that I love about Justin Haley is he is cool, he's calm, he's collected, you don't see him DNF a lot. He avoids a lot of the mess and the trouble. This race is going to get messy, mark my words. So a guy like Justin Haley, who's running around probably 15th towards the final stage, I think he's going to clear a lot of that craziness and end up with a good solid top 10 finish. So, and I mean, just the number, right? 9 to 1, insane. Briscoe plus 160 for a top 10. He was a part of the tire test. He's going to need a good solid run. In his career, he's been about a 13th place driver here at Bristol in the next gen era, really in his Cup Series career. But I like where that team is at this spot. 6 points to the good. I feel like they know what they're going to have to do, which is run about 10th place, and you should be okay, right? You should be okay. So I like this spot for Chase Briscoe. He's basically racing against Ty Gibbs, and hoping that a Denny or Martin doesn't win. But even that, he's up against Ty Gibbs. So in that case, what he's going to have to do is be a clean race car driver and run top 10 most of the night. I think he's capable of doing that. Obviously one of those guys that's like around the plus 25, plus 20 mark. Somebody's going to have trouble. Somebody's going to wreck out. It's just going to happen. So for Briscoe, he's just got to run a clean race. And I think that car and that team, Stuart Haas usually good at the short tracks. Bristol, Josh Berry was good in March. Preece, I mentioned. So I like Briscoe in this spot. And then Austin Dillon is 5 to 1 for a top 10 plus 500. He also was a part of the Bristol tire test in July. And I just feel like they pulled a rabbit out of the hat at Richmond, another place that eats away the tires. And it was interesting just out of the blue to see that team bring so much speed. So I don't know. I'm kind of fascinated with Austin Dillon here in this spot. Plus 500 for a top 10. He obviously can take and he probably has learned a lot from Kyle Busch and how Kyle Busch, races and gives advice for Bristol. So I think there's something there with Austin Dillon. And like Kyle Busch, like Dillon's been solid recently post the Olympic break. So I like Dylan in this spot. I think 5 to 1 for a top 10 is great value for him. He's had top tens, top fives in his career in the Cup Series at Bristol. So I think there's good value there. I think RCR is an interesting team to look at overall at Bristol this weekend. But yeah, I think Dylan is going to shock a lot of people with a good solid run. Again, like remember what he did at Richmond, and I know like right Bristol very bank track, Richmond flat, but still short track, similar like tire wear, tire plays the factor, good strategy. I think Dylan's going to be tough out for a lot of guys. I think he's going to have his feet all over this one in you know running about I don't know, seventh, eighth for most of the night. So I like Dylan here. So that's what I'm going with. Johnny on the track on Action Network at JOTT_podcast on X. For the final betting card, was a little frustrated. I didn't get to put my betting card out last week just because I wasn't home, unfortunately, and I just was so busy. But I did give the bets that I placed on the show. So anyway, Johnny on the track on Action Network at JOTT_podcast on X for the final betting card. One more time, Denny Martin for outrights, as well as Brad and Kyle Busch. Toyota is the prop, the manufacturer prop that you're looking at. Top 10 for Kyle Busch, Briscoe top 10, Austin Dillon top 10, Justin Haley top 10, and Ryan Preece top 10. If I had to do an allocation, I would put 1.5 units on Kyle Busch, 0.75 on Briscoe, 0.2 on Dillon, 0.2 on Haley, and 0.2 on Preece. So 0.2, if you take 1 unit as $100, 0.2 would be $20. Pretty simple. But that's the unit allocation I would look with. And I just put that out there because there's quite a few top 10. So you want to spread that stuff around. But yeah, want to know what you guys think. Put your bets and your thoughts in the comment section below for the Bristol night race. Give this video a like, goes a long way for the channel. And hit that subscribe button for more content from yours truly. And as always, let's win some money.